What a crazy old season. Well, I suppose 2 seasons it's been really, but QPR are finally safe again. This is our final QPR preview show of the season. And isn't it nice to have just one game where we can all sit back and relax? We'll be looking ahead to the final day trip to Coventry. I'll also be sharing our thoughts on the new QPR home kit as well. But we'll be starting, of course, back on Friday night. The rip-roaring 4-0 victory over promotion chasing Leeds. There wasn't a person on the planet, I think, who predicted that. I think some fans thought it was probably more likely to be 4-0 to Leeds than 4-0 to QPR. But Dave, our best performance for many a year.
Oh God, yeah. Going back to the Warnock days, I think it's probably the best we played since then. It was just a phenomenal night, and it was right from the start. I kind of expected us to bit similar to the Leicester game, defend deep, block all the spaces and play on the counter, but we didn't. We went right at them from the first minute. We were pressing high up the pitch, and Leeds didn't expect it at all, and they just looked completely freaked out by it. And once we went ahead, and you just kept thinking, oh, Leeds will have a spell in a minute, but we just dominated them all the way through, and it was just a phenomenal performance. I say best team performance I've seen since the Warnock days. Like every player was at least an 8 out of 10. It was a unbelievable night, and what a time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And something you just touched on there, something that I thought all along is it feels like it was the first match for so long where we had a team beaten mentally. Leeds were gone, especially after the third goal. We just had them beaten all ends up. They didn't have an answer, almost like they'd given up at the end because QPR were that good. And it literally feels like so long. And obviously every QPR player was like 8, 9, maybe even 10 out of 10. And it's again a long time since we've been able to say that. And if that's the type of football that Marty Cifuentes is ideally working towards, we also saw it in patches against West Brom, didn't we? With that incredible tempo, pressing, not letting a team breathe for a minute. We'll have 46 games of that next season, please.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't wait for next season already. Just let's get on with it. I mean, it was just what a brilliant way to end like at home. Just the whole style of it. We were just so attacking. You just kind of thought, even at 3-0, they'll ease off now and just try and hold on to what they've got, but they didn't. They kept going for a fourth, and they kept going for a fifth as well. It was just brilliant to watch. And I mean, I didn't think this team had 4 goals in them, but they did it to do it in one game, and they could have had more. Just a phenomenal night. One of the great nights down there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the match stats as well is something I wanted to touch on because it's the best example of the match stats not doing a performance justice, isn't it? Because I know they're on the screen now, but please ignore them because they're just nonsense. Stats are a good guide at time, and anyone who's watched this show over the seasons knows we love a stat. But I said last week, Leeds had the best defenders in the league. You just said it there, QPR. We hadn't scored more than 2 goals since December and only done it once all season. And look how it all ended up. It's just what makes football the greatest game on earth, though, isn't it? Having nights like that.
Yeah, it was just incredible. Like I went with my son, and he's had to go through years of watching Connor Washington up front and some right old tripe he's seen. And to have a night like that, I mean, he was beside himself when the third went in, and he'd lost it by the time the fourth went there. It's just brilliant. And so there's so many fans like that, younger fans that haven't seen nights like that. You think, us older ones are used to these sort of things. We've seen great nights before, but it's going back a long way since we've had a night as good as that. You've probably got to go back to the last promotion, maybe the playoffs when they won against Wigan. It was just a brilliant night, and we even got to bring a Doma on. It turned into a charity game the last 5 minutes. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I never thought that we'd have the opportunity to do that. It's amazing to hear that as well, and it's also like the togetherness off the field. We've got the togetherness on the field, haven't we? And it was fantastic to see that because if you watch it back and you look in the background, you see the reaction of the likes of Ziad Larkesh, Elijah Dixon-Bonner, other players on the bench as well. And look how they're responding to Marty Cifuentes, and he's hugging them at the end of the game. And that togetherness as well, that is what we've not seen at QPR for so long, because I don't even think we had a group responding like that to the manager, even under Mark Warburton, did we?
No, we didn't. And you saw at the end as well when they did the lap of honour at the end. He waited until every player had their families out with them and their kids and everything before they started. He made sure everyone had everyone with them so they could celebrate together. And they did it as a team. There was a lot of players that haven't played for ages but were around there, like Dixon-Bonner was heavily involved at the end. It was great to see. You can see he's really building something there. It could be start something exciting.
Yeah, from where we were in October, it's unbelievable how he's galvanised the whole club on and off the pitch. All hopefully bodes well for the future, which we will look ahead more to in our end of season review next week. Before we move on to Coventry, we had the surprise last week of the new 2024-25 QPR home kit being released 2 months before it usually is. They tried something new with the gradient blue hoops. What have you made of it, Dave?
Well, when it come out, I wasn't a big fan. I don't particularly like the collar. It kind of looks like something you get from B&Q when you can try different colours, don't you? It's like paint sampler. But the way they played in it on Friday night, I mean, they can continue with that forever. They look brilliant in it. Yeah, it's not the best kit we've had in recent years, but not the worst either. So, kind of on the fence a bit.
Yeah, to me, the gradient hoops are the issue. I just some of the overall design issues are a bit of a flaw. Like I say, I'm not a fan of the neck either. The two triangles it has coming out here kind of look a bit out of place. But when you see it on the players, it does look okay. Just sometimes the fit, I always think looks a bit odd. You could see undershirts quite low down, like the necks.
Yeah.
How they design them these days, I don't know. Probably a 5 or 6 out of 10 for me. It's fine enough. And like you say, if we play well in it next season, nobody will care. You have to let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Interesting to see as well what the away kit will be like. We'll probably bring you something on that in the summer for something to do. On to Coventry then. Head to head between the two clubs has actually been a bit odd in recent years. QPR had won 3 in a row, but then Coventry have won the last 3. And those 3 wins for Coventry have been pretty comprehensive wins, usually celebrating in front of a packed away end at Loftus Road. I think when it comes to Coventry this season, though, we have to start, don't we, with a mention of their FA Cup defeat. Unbelievably cruel. Aren't you glad you don't have to come on here and talk about VAR every week?
Oh my God, I hate VAR with a passion. I would bore the life out of you about VAR if we had that. Yeah, I was so disappointed for. I watched I mean, like most people, I watched the game, and to come back like that was phenomenal. Just to come back to 3-3 was phenomenal, but they should have won it in extra time. And I mean, it was one of the few times I'm watching two teams I don't really care about, and I was out of my seat when the fourth went in, running around the room celebrating, and then the bloody VAR come in and disallowed it. I was fuming. So I think like most people, I was gutted for them. I wish they'd have got to the final, and I think it's affected them, hasn't it? They haven't looked the same since that semi-final. They've had a few injuries as well, but an incredible effort just to get to the semi-final was brilliant, but they really pushed Man United close, didn't they?
Yeah, it's such a shame. And obviously, everyone knows I'm based up north. So to have had the Man United fans lose, that would have been extra nice. I know they're never going to get rid of VAR now, but surely it has to be improved. And I dread the day when we have to start, if we ever have to start talking about it on this every week. The manager, Mark Robbins, has said the FA Cup one hasn't had any effect on them missing out on the top 6. But like you just alluded to there, do you think it has hurt their league chances getting that far in the cup?
A little bit, yeah, but I think they'd kind of slipped away out of it a little bit before the semi-final. They had quite a lot of games they had to play in a short period, which kind of cost them a little bit. So they're always chasing it, and they have had a tough run the last few weeks. Some of the teams they played have been up there as well. But to me, they look like a side that's they've obviously got to the playoff final last year. They've rebuilt a little bit this year, and I think they'll be strong next season. Got a lot of good attacking players. So although there's probably not much on the game at the weekend, I think there'll be one to look out for next year.
Yeah, I always think they look like one of the best teams in the league whenever I see them. But the fact is, after losing to Ipswich in midweek, they've now not won for 5 games. It's 1 win in 7. Like you said, injuries are built up for them because of the quick turnaround of fixtures. And I think the nature of that cup defeat naturally has deflated the club a little bit for them, hasn't it? And it's a shame for them, really, because, like I say, they always seem like a good team. And they're another example, though, of a team who've conceded the same amount of goals as QPR, but much further up the league table. And it's simply because they've got 2 strikers on 19 goals. That's what makes the difference. And that's what QPR have got to be targeting, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You look at, they got rid of Gorgores last year, and they brought in Sims, and they've got even better really with the goals. They've been phenomenal going forward. And I always liked Mark Robbins as a manager. He always seems to pick up these good strikers that get goals in the Championship. But you look at the teams on paper, we're not hugely worse than they are. But I say, you look at the forward line, that's where the big difference is. That's why they're up there in the top half and while we're down the bottom. And we're going to need to address that in the summer if we want to close that gap a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably something we'll analyse in more detail in the end of season review. Ahead of this match, though, Coventry, they had to play with 10 men for half an hour against Blackburn last week. So that probably wasn't a bad draw. It will have tired them out even more, though. And obviously, then they've had to play Ipswich on Tuesday, which went through 11 minutes of added time. On paper, it does look like they're there for the taking, doesn't it?
It does. I imagine they just want the season over with now. They've missed out on the playoffs. The FA Cup didn't go as they wanted. They probably just want it over. I'm sure there'll be a big push for their last home game in front of their crowd, and they're going to want to finish on a high. I think probably for both teams, they probably just want to get this out of the way and get on with the summer. We've achieved our objectives, and they've done pretty well.
Yeah, we can't really build it up. It is what it is. It's a dead rubber, isn't it? For QPR, if we draw, we end the season with identical home and away records. First question, though, when it comes to QPR, does Marty Cifuentes experiment in this one? Can you see the likes of Fox, Larkesh, Hodge maybe even been given game time?
I think he might do. I don't think he'll go mad and change the whole team, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Larkesh get a go. Maybe Hodge as well. Maybe Dixon Bonner. He might have a little look at a few of those players, but I don't think he'll want to make major changes because he strikes me as someone who just want to keep the momentum going. He won't want to have last week's result and then fall flat on the last day. So I think you might see a couple of changes, but nothing too major, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he'll change much personally. I think he'll want to try and get momentum into the summer if he can. There'll probably be one or two changes, maybe Fox and Smith coming in. The others that you mentioned, I think maybe just coming off the bench to get half an hour, if depending how the game's going. I can't envisage 5 or 6 changes. We also know that QPR have had pressure on every match this season for 45 games since we lost the first one 4-0. Every match has felt like we've needed to get something out of it, particularly in the last 2 or 3 months. The amount of must-win games has been out there. And then obviously last Friday was such a huge performance. Do you think because that we're either going to play with freedom or it could go the other way? Maybe we aren't quite as at it because they're used to having such mental stress from the game, so to speak. Do you think it's going to go one or two ways?
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, you've got to think after the whole season's been trying to get over the line, try and stay up, and it's been, like I say, been so many must-win games recently, so much pressure. To have that pressure off, they could just go out and get completely hammered at the weekend, and you wouldn't be too surprised if that happened. But I think a lot of the players do have a lot of pride about their place. People like Steve Cook, I can't see them dropping their standards too much. And you have a night like you did against Leeds, you want to build on it. So I'm hopeful that they will try and build on it and try and finish the season on a high.
Yeah, definitely, especially because it's in front of a packed out, sellout away crowd again. So hopefully that comes into it as well. I wanted to touch on a few players before we finish. So I wanted to give some praise to Sam Field because every player was excellent against Leeds. But for me, Sam Field was just immense. And the reason I highlight him is because he had some pressure, didn't he, for his place in January, Isaac Hayden coming in, but he's responded perfectly. What a performance, another goal. What have you made of him and his recent performances?
Yeah, he's done really well. I think he's really improved under Cifuentes, like a lot of the players have. You used to look at him when he crossed the halfway line, he just looked like a deer in the headlights, didn't he? Didn't look like he knew where he was going. But now he's breaking forward, he's scoring goals, he's getting chances. He looks like he knows what he's doing. His positional play's really always been really good. And I thought that Leeds game, he was absolutely brilliant in it. And he has been like playing at a really high level for quite a while now.
Yeah, he's got 4 goals in 10 games too, so hopefully he can carry that into next season. I mean, we touched on him earlier in the season, kind of joking that if you passed the ball to him, it was going straight back in your direction, but he's really improved in that area as well. Like you say, the manager working wonders with him. And then Chris Willock, lots of rumours he's off to Sunderland, but he seems to have a great relationship with Marty Cifuentes whenever you see them together. He's working harder than I've ever seen him in the last 2 games, tracking back. Why would he want to leave Marty's party?
I can imagine there'd be a few thousand reasons a week why he might want to leave. But he's done really well since Cifuentes come in. I mean, he looked completely lost at the start of the season, didn't he? He was a completely different player. And he's come back really well. Like you say, he's had a lot of work rate to his game, which has been much needed. And he, going forward, we know what a threat he can be. He linked, I thought, with the Leeds game, first time for a while, he linked really well with Chair again. He come over to that side a bit more. But it'll be a real shame to see him go. But I think on a free transfer, he's likely to get some pretty good contract offers that I doubt we can afford. So I would have thought he's going to move on in the summer.
Yeah, I think that is the word, isn't it? It is a shame if he leaves because he's such a good player on his day. Finally, Jack Colback, I wanted to mention him because we can joke about it now, but the last 2 games he's been booked for stupid things like against Preston, it was for dissent, against Leeds, kicking the ball away. Does he only get paid if he gets booked?
It's mad, isn't it? I've never known player. He gets booked every time he plays, doesn't he? But at least it's not now for trying to cripple players and getting himself sent off. He's just for silly things now. But he's been really good as well. He stepped up the last few months. You kind of looked at him early in the season. He come in as the guy who was going to add the experience to the team, and he didn't really. He kind of looked as bad as everyone else. But again, under Cifuentes, he's really taken his chance. Had a bit of competition with Hayden and field players as well. And I thought against Leeds, he was really good, and he dominated that midfield. He was really good in that game.
Yeah, I've probably been quite critical of him through the season, but like you say, the last couple of months when we've needed him to step up, he's been fantastic. Our last prediction of the season, then Coventry versus QPR. How does it finish, if you even care?
Yeah, I'm not bothered how I'm going, but I should be bothered, but I'm not too bothered how it finishes. I think we can go there and get a result. I think we'll build on the Leeds game. I think it'll be quite an exciting game. I'm going to go for a 3-2 to us. Going to have a few goals in this one as well, so I think we'll win this one.
That'd be nice. We've still not had that many high-scoring games this season, even though we had last Friday. I mean, QPR are going to finish 16th, 17th, or 18th, depending how the results go. So the results largely irrelevant in that respect. But I just think it would be great to take the feel-good factor that's around the club, just take it into the summer. Because usually with football, you only need one big defeat and everyone's deflated again. So hopefully we can avoid that. Like you say, I think we can do it. Coventry, they must be still, what's gone wrong with our season kind of feeling. And hopefully we're catching them at the right time. I'm going to let my heart rule my head and go for a narrow win because I can't see us doing another 4-0, that's for sure. And that's it for the preview shows for 23-24. We're back next week, though, like I kept mentioning. We're going to be joined by George Sharp to do a season review. We'll also be doing our annual player rating podcast too. So make sure you come back and watch them. In the meantime, thank you so much from both of us for watching the preview shows this season. I mean, literally unbelievable support and comments we've had this season. Thank you to everyone who's commented on YouTube, liked the shows. Genuinely means a lot to us because when we set off doing these, we thought it'd just be our families watching, to be honest, and that we'd have to stick them in front of the TV to watch it anyway. So it does mean a lot to us. So enjoy Coventry and come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.